Welcome to 4-4 to the floor.
Where we give it to you raw.
You.
In the beginning, there was Jack. Hi, LAVITA Loca.
Let's start again. Welcome to 4-4 to the floor.
Where we give it to you raw. In the beginning, there was Jack.
No, DJ MABEBA.
Let's live La Vida Loca.
Let's go. Why do you make me shy every time?
You know, I always think you're going to be the first one to say something.
Why do we have to look each other in
You've
the
got
eye?
a celestial voice. So I'm always expecting you to go. So.
Okay, let me start. Dumelang, Shini. Hello.
Hello, hi.
Welcome to 4-4 to the floor.
Where we give it to you raw.
I don't give it to you raw. Nah, I get to what you're talking
There's a
about.
disclaimer, obviously.
I don't know.
You know, there's a disclaimer at the bottom that says co-hosts are not co-parenting. They're not. They're not.
Hi, flow hitters. Welcome to our channel.
Welcome.
Please do subscribe and like and follow and share. We're trying to get the numbers up, you know?
Yeah. And we're 3 episodes in. Happy terrible 3.
Yay!
This is our baby, right?
Yes, it's our baby.
It's a co-parent.
Yeah,
Ish.
So your baby mama have over to the floor.
Baby mama DJ MABEBA on the airwaves. But yeah, this is our 3rd episode. Back again.
Welcome.
Like and subscribe. I think it's very important. We're building something, aren't you?
Yes, we are.
Very, very, very something special. But I like that we're putting in the work.
Definitely.
And, you know,
Consistency.
we're innovating and
High five.
we're doing something. We're doing something. Yeah.
The last time we were together, we were with Moochies.
Moochies.
Yes.
The best yellow bone in town.
Yep, yes. And tell me, what have you been up to? Where have you been?
Yeah, so it was the end of the Women's Month.
Yes.
I think, and what did I do? I think the best gig I went to was definitely last week.
Yeah.
A runaway.
Oh yes, at Mia Cooper, right?
Mia Cooper. Mia Kalpa, Mia Cooper.
Zonke bonke.
Negelera.
Get a rusty buffet.
Sorry, rusty dust.
Monate o ko rusty bag. I never
Tequila and the deep.
Yo, but house. Guys,
What time did you get there? I'm curious to know what time you got there.
I got there Friday afternoon. Yeah.
The day before.
Day before. You know when you plan and you know where you're going.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you need the rest the day before.
Yes. But the crowd was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they enjoyed house music. Uncle Vinny was there. Malome killed it. Christos killed it.
Yeah.
It was fun. Even the local DJs.
Can I ask your top 3 sets?
Because I was helping around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not behind the scenes.
Yeah. Back pass.
Yeah. No.
Backstage pass. Backstage pass.
Obviously,
Baba.
because I'm a groovy girl.
Yes.
And me, I love the house.
Yes.
Nice. More vibes.
The deep house lights.
I enjoyed Deep Essentials. And they came through.
The deep house lights.
And they came through for the girls. It was fun. We had fun. We had total fun.
Move the crowd.
Slept at 5 a.m.
Oh, next day.
Yeah. But it was totally worth it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's proper deep. Welcome to the Tequila Gang. Well done to the Tequila Gang. Welcome to the Tequila Gang. Aish.
Any upcoming events that you attended?
Let's talk about the action-packed lineup for September. For the rest of September.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Delicious. Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Let's
talk about if your child's school fees are getting paid. Are you willing to make that sacrifice? Let's talk about where you should be. Are you going to Delicious?
I can't afford. I'm sorry.
Ish. How much is the ticket again?
I think it's 1,000 rand.
1,000 rand. Just to get in.
And there's economy, guys. Get petrol. outfit. But everybody, like, I know, like, one of my colleagues, she gyms for it every year. Why Chimela, she saves up because that's like a birthday celebration type of vibes. So, yeah, it has
She's a
its
September
crowd.
baby.
Yes, it has its crowd. Are you attending?
Hopefully.
Hopefully, Bian. Why, or Raoi?
I don't want to plug, but next week I'm going to a wedding, so
Oh, okay, I'll show.
yeah, I guess sure.
All right, hey.
Gonna
And
be
then
DJing at a wedding. I wanna be. Love is gonna be the love is gonna be the key.
house. Oh, I love you. I love you.
I'm anointing love next week.
I see you. I see you.
So I'll be there, but hopefully I can be there
All
for
right.
Jill Scott,
Hamba.
Achena Jackson.
Ah.
I put 1,000 rand. My kids are not going to school next month. If
I'm schooling.
homeschooling, I'll catch up. I am paying that 1,000 rand to see world class legendary performers.
Okay, and tickets to buy in
Which
terms
one?
of events. More tickets to buy. I think we should look into Kunye. Kunye is coming.
Kunye? Oh yes.
Through.
We love the Kunye.
Also we have Spring Fiesta.
Yes.
Like,
it's major. It's major.
can I have FOMO but I didn't have FOMO? Is that normal?
For which one?
For Spring Fiesta.
Have you been?
Yes.
Yeah, but Spring Fest is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's also in the east. It's in the East Rand. It's a drive, so you have to properly plan your mission and the things we see when we
we are shooting.
when we are shooting. But anyway, yeah, but it's because it's also in the east. It's a long term planning. So I think what's nice about events, especially the size of Spring Fiesta, they actually build the local economy.
They do.
I remember we were given stats of Spring Fiesta, and the impact that it makes for that day is around 20 million for the local economy.
What?
So events like this bring big exposure to.
So it's good
So
to
imagine
support.
what a Delicious is doing to the Kyalami Midrand era.
Yeah.
So it's nice that it's happening, and that's it's a mission. But if something is worth 20 million, like it's for the local economy.
Yeah,
effect.
it's definitely
That's what
will
it's
go.
doing. So yeah. So Spring Fiesta is one to look for. And talking about economies, R.I.P. to Pravina.
Ish, hamba kahle, baba.
Ish.
Usilwele mara.
Hey, I mean, usually after that weekend special, that you remember? Oh my gosh, that weekend special.
Ne?
Desmond Royen.
Ish.
When he got god,
Ah.
if it wasn't, if you look at the markets and the indicators, if it wasn't for Praveen stepping in,
Yeah.
Aish would be the cousin to some other dollar.
Yeah, we can't talk about it.
You
but
can't say where,
know-
we're not.
Yeah, you know.
It's
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Let's Chidima out of it.
See, Black dropped.
Yeah. Tumelo.
Yeah. Amazing.
Oh, what a beautiful.
We're
album.
listening to it in the office.
Yeah.
And yeah. It was vibing. I'm not the soulful I love you type of girl, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yeah. You know?
But you enjoy the softness of it.
Yeah. And actually our guest today is a legend. And
Do you have a guest today?
yes, we do.
Oh, I thought we were talking the whole time. I thought we were the guest. We are the guest.
We'll see you.
Let me see us on our socials.
Yes.
4 to the floor everywhere.
Subscribe and like.
Twitter, Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. 4 to the floor everywhere.
Okay.
So do we have a guest today?
Yes, we do.
Can't wait for who we have. He's made people.
Childhood memories. And my thing is, it's not even childhood memories. It's still relevant today.
Is it?
It's still relevant.
It is.
It's still relevant today. You can also see how time has passed and how things have changed.
True.
But it's still sentimental. His work is still sentimental to a lot of South Africans
It is.
and the
is.
South African music industry.
Yeah. Let's welcome him in. 4 to the floor and out. Yo!
Woohoo!
Ish,
Yeah.
LAVITA.
Hello.
I see two good-looking people next to me,
Do you?
and an ugly one.
Oh.
There's usually one pretty person and an ugly one.
Yeah,
Now
we
we've
have to
got two.
balance. Yeah, I have to
That's a
balance.
balance.
Yeah.
Ish. In the shots right now, if you can see this live from YouTube. Ish, I'm too. They said I was gonna cry. Then we were like, I'm not gonna cry.
You
I'm
are.
gonna
Look
do
at
the
it.
intro. I'm gonna do the
Yes.
intro. I'm gonna do the intro without crying. You know, Chama was the first one to introduce this thing. Chama Music was the first one to tell me, like, hey, this guy likes crying. Like, I don't cry. I'm just proud.
Okay.
Yeah, it's proud tears.
So you are crying.
I'm not crying.
You
yet.
are.
I'm not crying.
It's
yet.
okay.
Alright, okay. Let's do the intro. Here besides us, never on top of us,
Yes.
never below us.
I hear you.
Ish.
Take it to
Between
church.
us-
Take
between
it
us,
to church.
We got Kafele Bandale,
What's up?
aka, if you know him well, Kopano. And if you know the meaning, it's a meeting. So there's a meeting here on 4-4 to the floor
Definitely.
with one of the greatest. Yeah, you know, when people are multi-talented.
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 Yeah.
You don't know where to start. So I'm gonna try to do a good intro, Kafele, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Sure, this is tough. Yeah.
You got this, Tato.
Got this.
Yeah.
The way he's so multi-talented, he can sing, produce, play an instrument, be a cool person, think about the world,
Let's
promote
go.
peace,
Let's
a
go.
poet, a potential politician, a radical, and an overall nice guy in this world. Kafele Bandale in the flesh, and welcome, my brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for the intro.
The first question, I'm gonna get straight to it. We're hitting it hard. We're hitting it raw. Complicated. You know, we used to have Facebook status that said complicated, and then you had a track said complicated.
Complicated.
What is complicated? What are we going through? Can you tell us the whole story? We want more than the song. What is happening?
Okay. Well, to be real,
Who was she?
all right.
It's always a her.
Right. It was more than one, honestly.
Copano. Copano. Yeah.
More than one. Yeah. But there was a particular one that
Yes.
was the inspiration, but you know, once I started writing, I just started reflecting on some past experiences too.
Okay.
But you know how it is, man. It's like relationships, they're not always easy. I don't even know if they're ever 100% easy. They always take work. But the thing is, a lot of times I feel like people try to, and myself included, I'm not just talking about, you know, I'm talking about everyone. More often than not, we don't want other people to see our negative side, right?
Yeah.
And we also, you know, tend to be influenced by the traumas that we've had. You know what I'm saying? And so there's been some situations when, you know, I was knee deep in something, and then things changed, seemingly for no reason.
What changed?
No reason.
What
I mean, just in terms of like a person's energy is what I'm trying to say. Like at first very open, and then you know right when you think it's getting good, there's like a wall that comes up. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so what is complicated? We are in your. This is you just telling us you're writing these lyrics. Yeah, that means they're very. Let me take over. Just ask the rest of this question.
All right. So, how did the collaboration come about?
Not collaboration, the lyrics.
The lyrics.
What was happening?
Oh, you.
Complicated.
You see,
You've never been in
you're
love, man. You've never been complicated.
I'm jealous for adults.
You've never been dating.
And let's not talk about that.
Okay,
But
I wanna know.
understand. Yeah, the lyrics.
How
Take
does
us
it
through the
start?
process.
How
Yeah.
does it start?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just how I was talking about, just the transition between.
What happened with her? Like, I just owe them. Like, can we have some real
You want?
sound
Oh, you want?
bites?
I see what you're saying. You want some? You want some details?
Real details, please, please, please.
Okay.
please.
Well, I'll tell you. The main one that inspired it. I'm not gonna say her name, but
Yes, yes.
we met. We met on a cruise. Actually, it was a cruise I was performing on.
It's always the cruise.
Yeah, the cruise.
There's always a cruise story.
But it just so happened that we both lived in New York,
Yeah.
so we dated for a while, and it was just one of those things, man. That you know, we ended up, dating or whatever afterwards,
Yeah.
and
You left the boat.
yeah, we left the boat, yeah. But we ended up, pushing things a little, a little further down the line, and then it just got to a point where I feel like there was just some dishonesty there in terms of what we were looking for, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And also, I'll tell you something specific that happened though, and this. You know what? I don't even know if that's appropriate for the show. However, let me just say that there was some dishonesty there, and what happened was, she was She was like leading me to believe that that she didn't want anything super serious, like she didn't want to be committed.
Yeah. Oh.
But then when I ended up, when she asked me about something, about my dating life or whatever, and I told her the truth, and then she got upset and like.
But I understand. I understand where she came from.
Yeah, I understand too. But the thing is, she had told me up front that she wanted something committed. Then
It's
I would,
complicated.
100%. Right.
It's
That's the
complicated.
That's what I was saying.
Oh.
That's where it comes from. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, I think we all resonate.
Yes.
Do you resonate, Lavita?
Yes, it's complicated.
Yes.
So, in this story, Lavita, where were you? If you had to place yourself in the story, complicated.
I totally get where it comes from. Like, it's better to open your cards and know what you're getting yourself into, and then not being misled. But also, she caught feelings.
Yeah, she did. And you know what?
Wait,
I understand
question.
that, yeah.
Did you catch feelings?
I did too. Yeah.
Oh, but then why wouldn't you guys just open about it?
I don't know.
Like, you guys are complicated.
Right. No, I'm saying I let her know. I let her know that I wanted to.
It's so simple, but it was so complicated.
Right.
Like, but I get it. It's complicated.
Yeah, it happens.
Sorry, I had to ask that one. I had to get that one out of the
Right.
I had to scratch that itch, because that track has meant a lot to a person like me, who's been in complicated situations. So,
Right.
yeah, thank you. It's nice to know that it's a real life story to you, and it happened, and that
Yeah,
was
100%. Yeah, most of the stuff I write is from real life experience. I mean, sometimes I embellish it a little, or I add a little something to it, but it's all based on my personal experiences.
Yeah. So let's actually start at the beginning. Who are you? Where were you born? Who's your mom and dad? Which neighborhood did you grow up in? And can you walk us through your early journey before knowing that life is complicated?
Right. Strangely enough, it was still complicated even back then, but just in a different way.
Life is
So
still
yeah,
complicated.
yeah. So I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and but the thing is, I didn't really live there.
The motherfuckers come from there.
Say again.
The motherfuckers come from there. Motherfuckers come from
Oh, yeah. I
What did you just say?
No, the motherfuckers.
Like, yo.
Pronunciation. Hey. Hey.
So you come from Baltimore, sorry?
Yeah, I was born there, but I didn't really live there. By the time I was like 2 years old, my family had moved to Louisiana, and then we also moved to several other states in the South, and then back to Louisiana. This was all before I was in the 5th grade. So I grew up mostly in the South and mostly in Louisiana.
Okay.
And we stayed in Louisiana until, my family's still there, but I left when I finished college. And then I went to Chicago, and I stayed there for quite a while. That's where I got introduced to house music in Chicago.
Yeah. So the South, how we've heard, so Dirty South, right?
Dirty South.
Louisiana. So how just from a, just if you can paint us a picture and how does it look, what's the atmosphere there, what's the culture, the people who live there, how does a person of color, black person stay in the South, because historically in America the South is where the biggest racism was, if I'm not mistaken. If I know my history well.
The answer to that is yes. Really, racism was everywhere, to be honest with you. However, in the South, it was definitely more prevalent and more out in the open. You know what I'm saying? And there's still some traces of it, even today.
Yeah.
Growing up there, I definitely came across several incidents that happened. Nothing what I would call like nothing serious or dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, except for the times where I got pulled over by the cops. There was a couple of tense situations.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that, thankfully, I wasn't hurt or anything like that. But I definitely still experienced it directly, and also I kind of felt that undertone of it, even though sometimes it wasn't necessarily spoken,
Yeah.
But my parents, they come from another generation. They come from that generation where,
So your parents, where they're from?
My dad is from Baltimore, and my mom is from Providence, Rhode Island.
Then, both black, or how's your family tree look like? If you know,
it's. I mean, we know it to a degree, because the whole slavery thing happened, so of course it got cut off. But on both sides of my family, we identify as African American.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad is like super light skinned, but the most pro-black light skinned person I ever met.
Amandlar.
Right.
Oh, it's you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying, he changed it. His name used to be Rodney Reynolds. He changed it to Owusu Bandele.
What?
And I have an African name. All my brothers and sisters. My mom changed her name as well. It was something that it was a.
What inspired that?
They didn't want to carry the slave names anymore. Because most black people in the states that come from slavery, they still have the last names of the people who used to own them. So my dad wanted to cut that tradition. And start fresh. That's why my last name is from Nigeria. It means born away from home.
Interesting.
So that's why he chose that
Are
name.
you Aruba or what culture?
Yoruba.
It's Yoruba and
I know it comes from Bamidele. It comes from Bamidele.
Bamidele,
Yeah,
okay.
but it's like a shortened version of that, and it can mean some slightly different things, but basically relating to home.
So that's on your passport. That's on your
Interesting.
Yeah.
government documents.
That's correct. Yep.
Your parents are visionaries.
Changing
Changing the narrative, eh?
Yeah, because what you're saying is in South Africa we also have the same thing, where some of us, our middle names are English, and the reason why, and even a great example is Nelson Mandela. His real name is Kholikhali, but because he went to a school where teachers were white, they couldn't imagine saying Kholikhali. I'm sure you can understand the how taxing it is on the tongue.
Yeah, it's such
Rather give him a simple name that's known than Nelson. So that's why I applaud your parents for actually being such visionaries to think that
Yeah, I do too. And what's funny is that I didn't appreciate it when I was a kid.
because
I got teased so much, bro. Look, my name rhymes. Come on, bro. So I caught it. But at the end of the day, like as I was getting older, I really appreciate that they did that for us. Yeah.
True. So siblings, you guys?
Yeah, 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
2 sisters. And where you placed?
I'm the second to the youngest.
Second to the youngest. Almost last born.
Almost the baby. Yeah.
Almost the baby.
Just a baby.
Yeah. So okay. In the South, Louisiana. Then when did you come to New York? The music. I want to know when the music bit you.
They got me
Did
early.
you come
bro.
up in a family musical home? When was your first encounter with
I
music?
did come up in a musical family. I mean, like my parents weren't musicians, but they were lovers of music, especially my dad. Well, both my parents were, but my dad had a heavy obsession with jazz.
Their favorite artist?
I have a lot.
Your dad and mom's favorite artist?
Wait, say that again.
Your dad and mom's favorite
Oh,
artist?
well, I can tell you, my dad has a lot of favorite artists, but he like when I was young, he was listening to a lot of John Coltrane, a lot of Pharoah Sanders. some miles. But he was into the more experimental kind of stuff back.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I remember the most. But he had a massive collection that had like all types of jazz from all different ages or whatever.
And your mom?
She would listen to a lot of reggae.
Oh,
Yeah, which I love that too. But I used to hate it. Like I used to hate waking up in the morning to reggae because I know that means it's time to clean the house.
Oh,
You know
we
what I'm
have
saying?
that for gospel.
Right,
South Africa, if you play gospel or you play like R&B, but mostly gospel, Dr. Rebecca, just know you are cleaning that house.
Yeah, but yeah. So and then from my brothers and sisters, we're relatively pretty close in age.
Yeah.
We're all like basically 2 years apart.
Oh, nice.
But they were like into. My sister was into like a lot of Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
Prince. But that's just like the.
Sorry, can I interrupt you? This
Sure.
is a personal question. The best artist, got two. Michael Jackson or R. Kelly?
Or R. Kelly.
Michael Jackson. Please.
I would have to say Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have to
Yes.
say Michael Jackson.
That's okay. So,
Yeah.
as we were,
So yeah, and then like aside from like all that, my brothers and sisters were into like mostly like, I guess you would call it pop back then,
yeah,
and then also like hip hop, R&B.
yeah.
So I got like a plethora, like a wide variety of different genres thrown at me. But to be honest with you, it didn't really hit me in terms of like my appreciation for music until I was like in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
I had already started playing trumpet by then, and at that point I started on my own going through my dad's record collection,
Yeah,
listening for it.
interesting.
And the first record that I played, it was a Miles Davis record, the one Kinda Blue. That's all she wrote, man. After that, I was hooked. And from there, like I started getting into even other types of music when I left Louisiana. Yeah. Louisiana was great in terms of the culture, the music.
Yes, it's the
food, all that.
richness. Yeah, the richness. Yeah.
Yeah. However, there was just certain types of music that they did not listen to down there that I wasn't exposed to. And house music is one of them. I didn't grow up listening to house.
Okay.
I mean, I heard maybe some commercial house stuff, which I didn't really like so much when I was there. But when I moved to Chicago, that's when I learned about Afrobeat. I'm talking about the old Afrobeat, like
Yeah.
Fela Kuti and all them.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
What's have no enemy?
Right. Oh yeah, I love that tune. But also that and also house. That's when I got exposed to it, and that's when I realized, oh, house is actually a very wide genre. I mean, there's a lot of different styles of house.
Which year is this?
This which year?
Yeah.
I want to say I moved to Chicago like maybe around 2000, between 2000 and 2002, somewhere in there.
So it's like 20, 30 years strong with Chicago developing the house music. The way house is closed by this time.
Yeah, yep. So yeah, that was my exposure to it, and even then, I didn't necessarily know at the time that I was gonna be, doing house music projects.
Yeah.
What kind of tipped the scale for me to start doing that was I was friends with a lot of DJs,
Yeah.
and one in particular, he used to come check me out when I used to perform. Like he used to come see my live shows, and
So you were already like live before, so
I was doing mostly jazz and stuff though.
so you're in jazz clubs,
Yeah, and so he used to come check me out. Sometimes I would go check him out when he was spinning records. And then one day he was like, yo, I got a new residency at this spot. And he was like, why don't you come bring your trumpet and just play along with me? And I remember thinking, that's a terrible idea. But it's because I had never done it before. I didn't know what to expect. But when I agreed to do it because I thought it was interesting nonetheless. And what happened was when I showed up, oh man, it was almost like I was playing with another musician because he took the time to curate a set that was good for me to accompany. So I think that was a great start, and it was like just a different way, a different thing that I hadn't been exposed to that I just started doing. And funnily enough, by the time I left Chicago, I had more gigs with DJs than I did with bands.
Yeah.
And that's how much of an impact it had on me,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
LAVITA as a DJ, if you had to have
Let's go.
so what does it mean? Like if you had to have a live trumpet on the set, like from a DJ's point of view, why would you want to be there? So we're going back 2000s when you're almost born or were born. I don't know.
Excuse me, I was 5 years old. Okay.
In the story, you're 5 years old.
Yes.
So, like, what does it do to have like a sessionist or a music player in your set? Like, how do you curate it? How do you play
I
around
think
it?
okay, the way I was taught how to play, um, I was taught with a bit of production, right?
Yeah.
So your sets are not just sets; you are curating also some sort of, experience, and it's very important to like, set up your playlist and just check that you guys infuse and create an experience. So, one thing I got to notice is that you could just be a DJ, but you also could be a performer. So
Yeah.
this is where you could, implement this and just bring it together and give life. So this is saying, Bari in Sesotho, ho na le o letsang, then there's a DJ o tlo dlala. So later it's just someone who's just playing and mixing, and then there's people come through and actually perform, and it's
Yeah.
an actual art. Yeah, that's
So
yeah.
it's beautiful. So you got booked because I'm here to document your story because this is, I think,
Archive it.
yeah, we have to try archive how we got to
Yeah.
this legendary house music connoisseur, and actually just a music connoisseur, because I think some of our problems in house music is that we box ourselves
Yeah,
and
definitely.
we limit the potential of growth. You could have. I think there's actually there's Sterling Assemble. I think Sterling Assemble, something like that. He's done so many house music tracks. He's actually the guitarist for Shakira.
Oh wow.
I think
Yeah.
Sterling Assembles. People corrected, but he's done tracks with Josh Milan, Consequences. Like he's an amazing an artist. So I want to ask you: have you felt that you were doing house music? You've been boxed to do house music, or have you ventured out and seen like I've got this range of music that I can play. I can do anything. And how do you see the reactions and you know and the feelings between when you go outside house music and house music? And do you think that house music boxes you in?
That's a tough question to answer. I would have to say yes, it does to a degree. However, it also is an opportunity to expand as well.
Yeah.
Especially because I didn't really come from, like I was saying, my background wasn't house to begin
Music,
with.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like part of the reason why some people gravitate towards my songs is because especially in the early songs I was doing, I was just making music. I wasn't necessarily making house music. I was working with producers who happened to produce house music, and I was just bringing my own personal energy into it. You know what I'm saying? And that issue that you're talking about, though, in terms of being in a box, that's not just exclusive to house music. I feel like every genre of music goes through that. Jazz, bro, believe it or not, one of the most creative, expressive types of music there is, has that same problem. Big time.
You do smooth jazz. You don't do contemporary.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of different subgenres of jazz, but what I'm saying is like the people who like would consider themselves like the connoisseurs of jazz.
Yes.
They are very strict in terms of what they call jazz. Their jazz box is so small, bro. But then you have people like Robert Glasper and all these other cats who like kind of blur those lines, and I love it when artists do that. Don't get me wrong, there's a place for all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
There's a place for classical jazz, classical house music, or if you want to call it that, classic house. And then there's a space for experimental stuff that is like a spin-off of house. There's room for it all, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so but I will say though, to get to your point, certain producers and DJs, they have a certain sound that they don't want to go outside of.
Yeah.
And in that regard, it can be a little boxing, there's this little boxing in going on with that. And I think at the end of the day, some of them are doing it because they want to preserve the music.
Yeah.
Some of them actually have told me the reason why they do that is because they don't want to get, certain listeners who only listen to a specific style of house, they don't want to offend them by making a kind of house that they don't listen to. Yeah. So I mean, you know, it is kind of frustrating in a way, but also I get it. I mean, and anytime you try to like have some sort of commercial aspect to any type of art, you come across those types of problems. You know what I'm saying?
So with that being asked, I want to know for you, you know, and maybe I'm just jumping around. What's profitable for you? Does music pay your bills? Is it music, if it pays your bills to a certain degree, it's rather the gift that you've given, you know, whether you believe in God or whoever who's given you this power. You know, how do you balance, just you personally, has music been good to you from a financial point of view?
Yes, it has, but it wasn't always. It wasn't always.
Why? Or how did, like, what's the journey to...
Well, I mean, I feel like, you know, a lot of musicians and singers don't really necessarily look at it this way, but you know, once you decide to take that venture into doing music as a career, it's like it's a business now, you know? And just like with any business, there are things that you have to do outside of music to grow the business. And I feel like a lot of artists, myself included, those things weren't my strong suit. So I feel like in retrospect, knowing what I know now, there's certain things I would have handled differently. Let me tell you though, I mean, when I first decided to become a full-time musician, it was because I had a corporate job at the time. I was working for AT&T, right?
Yeah. So and for those that in South Africa, to be your MTN, your network provider. So
it's a telecom company. And so what happened was I had been there for 8 years, and bro, after like my first week, I was already done with it. You know, I was like,
but you gotta pay the bills.
Yeah,
and you gotta eat.
You have to. And so at the end of the day, I mean, I did use it to a large degree to be the foundation of my music career, because I was like buying my studio equipment, and you know, of course, they put a roof over my head. But also, I got to a point though, by the end of that 8 years, or actually 7 years at that point, I was physically getting sick. I mean, my stomach would be turning, like thinking about driving, sitting in traffic, going to a place I don't even want to be. And it got to a point, bro, I was trying to get fired, actually. And they would not fire me, bro. They wouldn't fire me. They wouldn't fire me, and eventually I said, you know what? I'm gonna quit, and I picked a date, a random date. It was the first day of spring. I said, I'm quitting on this date, and there was fear there at first, but once I picked that date, there was no fear. But the fear did kick in after I quit. Because I had no plan. I didn't know what I was gonna do. But I told myself, listen, I know I don't like doing this job. I can probably always go get a job I don't like. But I know I do love music, and I'm gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm very glad that I did it. I kind of wish I had done it sooner. But those first few years were very tough, bro. Having no plan, and then you know, just figuring it out along the way. You know what I'm saying?
So that 8 years, when did it start? Which year?
When did I start working?
The first day you hated your job.
Okay, it was like about a weekend, bro. I started off doing customer service for AT&T, and then I did move around quite a bit. But I remember thinking, I was so eager to get out of school and go to work, and now I'm like, this cannot
straight
be
after
it.
school.
Straight after school. I'm like, this cannot be it. This cannot be what I have been conditioned to think is the best thing for me to do for the rest of my life. Even though the money was, to me at the time, it was good. It started right away. I just didn't. The thing is, I had too much fear of not knowing what I was going to do, not knowing how I was going to survive if I quit. You know.
So you were gigging and working a 9 to 5.
I was.
Which was the worst day to go to work?
The day right after my gig. I'm telling you, sometimes I remember this. I had a gig that ended at 4 a.m. on a weeknight.
Yeah.
And a couple times I went home, but then I realized there's no point for me to go home. I have to be to work at like 7-ish, I think, at the time.
Lala Malunde.
Yeah, so you know what I did?
Slala.
I ended up leaving my gig, and mind you, I had been drinking. I would just leave my gig, go to my job early, because nobody was there, was supposed to be nobody there.
Yeah.
And then just go sleep on the couch, still, hung over, and then wake up and go to work. And one of the times, this was so funny, bro. One of the times I was in there, I didn't know it, but my coworker was working the night shift because she had a special project, and I didn't even know she was in there, bro. I walked in the office, I had been drinking, I was lit, so I was just singing and just, making a lot of noise, and she was so scared. She was hiding under her desk. She didn't.
You know what I love? That you were dedicated. You still showed up.
I did, yeah.
You showed up, yeah.
That's a tough one.
So yeah, those were the days, man. And I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it wasn't. Even though I didn't necessarily. That's not what I wanted to be spending my whole life doing. It was still a good experience. It's just that
journey.
It's a part of the journey. It is, yeah. And there's I met some great people there also,
I'm sure you got like fans now that come support you.
Yeah, man. I got so much support that I couldn't believe it. And honestly, I didn't even let them know that I was a musician right away. I kept it because sometimes corporate can be like.
Yeah, obviously discriminating.
Yeah, they don't like that kind of
obviously, stuff. Obviously, because you're gonna weekend. You had groove. Then Monday you have to be at work.
Right. Yeah. They don't like it. So but I did eventually tell them, and I was absolutely blown away by how much support I got, bro. In terms of they would show up to my gigs. I mean, sometimes I remember one of my gigs. I want to say like 40 people from my office came, bro.
Wow.
You.
And they were also doing stuff like several of them would like. This was back in the days when I was still selling CDs.
Yeah.
Several people would like take big stacks of 10 or 20 CDs and sell them among their friends, and then report back and give me, pay me. So it was good in that way, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just got to a point though where I felt like the benefits were not. The benefits to working there just didn't outweigh the negatives, So that's why I decided to quit,
All right, guys, I need to go to the toilet. Please cut. 4 to the floor. If you want to know, it wasn't a number 2. So it wasn't 2 times 2 to get 4 to the floor. It was just.
Oh wow, Tato.
It was 1 with 4 shades. So come
on, Tato.
This is, So, music journey. You've had your career. You've worked at a telecommunications company.
Mm-hmm.
And now you in music. So if I say to you, love is the key, and just come with all the music that you know that we love. Can you tell us stories, snippets? Yeah, but for me, love is the key. And also the thing that I wanted to ask is that the trains. Why do you guys perform in trains?
Okay, well, let's start with that, with the trains.
Mm-hmm.
How I got started doing it was because I left Chicago eventually, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to move to New York. I had visited New York, and it's just like the type of place. Well, let me say this. I had lived in Chicago for maybe 2 years before I went to visit New York, right? When I was in New York for like maybe less than 2 weeks. I made more music industry contacts in that 2 weeks in New York than in my whole 2 years in Chicago.
That's true.
No lie.
That's true.
So I was like, okay, that's when I had made up my mind I was going to move to New York eventually, and eventually I did. But when I got there, I ended up having to deal with the same thing I dealt with in Chicago when I quit my job and didn't have a plan.
Yeah.
Like I was moving to a completely different market. I didn't have any connections out there. At least in terms of, getting paid work for being a musician. And I kept coming across like a bunch of like just trash gigs, bro. Like, where like you would have to like either sell tickets and then they would give you like maybe 20% of the ticket money. And just dumb, just dumb stuff like that, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, in your time of performing in trains and like what kind of values did you learn in that time of okay, firstly you said it helped you transition from like clubbing space. What else did you learn from that experience of
I learned a lot. That's a great question. I learned a whole lot. One thing that I learned, kind of indirectly related, was just the power of gratitude.
okay
And when I say that, what I mean is that when I was playing on the trains at first, I was kind of bitter about it because
must
I'm
have
like,
been hard
yeah,
because you're from like a clubbing scene and performing with DJs
Right.
and then now
playing on the train. So
Yeah.
I was a little bitter about it, and also bitter because I wasn't, at the time I didn't really learn the ropes. I didn't know how to make it lucrative for myself. But eventually, I began to appreciate it, and I noticed that when I did appreciate it, I played better and I got more tips.
okay
That's one thing that I learned. I also learned, well, I didn't really, this wasn't my first experience with it, but I learned the power of music. And when I say that, what I mean is that music has the ability to like transform how people feel.
yeah definitely
And several times, I mean, people have given me like the biggest compliments on the train. One person told me, literally, he said, "The voice of God speaks through your playing."
yo that is pearl
Humbled.
yeah
Another person told me, she was like, "Listen, I'm so glad I got on your train because recently I lost two very important people in my life.
yeah
And honestly, I've been struggling to find beauty." Stuff like that.
yeah
To me, that matters. That those compliments don't leave me.
no
Tho- you know,
at all
I remember them more than the tips.
I think also it's like it became an affirmation that this is your calling and somehow you got to make it work.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Your question. Going back to
No, I'm still on the story. So like,
that was yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of stuff that I learned. That's just the tip of the iceberg, man. Seriously, a bunch of stuff that I learned just about human nature, about myself, just across the board, and about, I mean, some business related things. And I've also actually gotten some great gigs from playing on the train too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you never know who's listening.
So would you say putting yourself out there, even though sometimes it's uncomfortable, can be worth it?
100%.
The thin line between exposure
Yes.
and exploitation, guys.
Oh yeah, there's a very thin line. There's a very thin line. There's a very thin line between those
I'm
two
guessing
things.
that's the experience that comes into play, right? You have to pay your school fees.
You do.
And how long did you pay them?
I'm
for?
still paying them. I
But
feel
in
like
a
I'm
better
still
way,
paying them.
right?
Yeah,
I
but in a
think
better way,
it's
absolutely.
It's more varsity, it's more master's fees or doctorate fees.
Yeah.
Those are the fees that we want to assimilate to. So I'm just thinking, when did you cut your hair? When did you stop being? When did you lose your power?
Right.
Oh, Samson, we see you.
Yeah, I initially I went through a couple of phases with it. Like when I met you back in the day,
Yeah.
that was like my second phase of having that afro. I had cut it before that and then grew it back. And even that time when I cut it, my plan was to grow it back again, but something changed along the way where I just was comfortable like keeping it. I wanted to change my image to a degree.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? However, I'm not gonna lie. I remember the first time I cut. I mean, what prevented me from cutting my hair once was I understood how powerful image is.
Yes.
And I remember this is one of the things that happened right when I was thinking about cutting my hair. This was when I was living in Chicago. I was standing outside and it was pouring down rain. I mean, bro, raining like it was like a mini hurricane, right? And I didn't have an umbrella. I'm just on the street waiting for a bus. There was no shelter in the bus stop. And all of a sudden, a car pulls up. And they were like, "Kafele?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I couldn't even see who it was. And I got in. I'm like, "How did you know it was me?" They were like, "Duh, bro, your hair." You know what I'm saying? Like, I realized that something that, prominence that people identify me with, it might not be a good idea necessarily to cut it. But I did get to a point where I just wanted to change, and I felt like that's a good place to start. That was a good place to start, cutting the hair.
Yeah.
So now tell us, how did we get to South Africa? How did the collaboration come about?
Right. It's a crazy story. Well, to me it is anyway. But long story short, it happened because of some connections
Okay.
that I had in Chicago. I used to play at this restaurant. It was called Quattro, like every week, and I would play with the DJ there, right? And so his name is Felix,
Felix.
and
Okay.
he sometimes he would have guest DJs, and at the time, like this is like I had been playing with DJs for a while, but I still wasn't
Yes.
very heavy into like house music history and knowledge and all that. And one of his guests was Andy Compton.
Okay.
And
The rules.
right, and
Zinja's again.
Wow, the rules.
Zinja's
I
again.
have so much love for Andy, but I'm not gonna lie.
Vegan,
Yeah,
the vegan.
yeah, the vegan.
The vegan.
But when he pulled up, and mind you, I didn't know who he was. He pulled up, and I'm looking at this guy like, what kind of set is this guy gonna play? You know what I'm saying? Just from looking at him, prejudging him or whatever. But he got on the decks and put it down, and I played along with him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we just clicked, and ever since then we've been cool. But what eventually happened was, a couple years after that, he randomly reached out to me like, "Hey, bro, I'm working on some production. I want you to put some horns on something if you want." So he sent me a track, and that track was Above the Sky.
Oh.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is
Look at that though.
Crazy.
It's melting.
I know we're
Are you
friendly.
okay?
I'm not okay.
Are you okay? Should we
okay.
box of
I'm okay.
tissues?
I'm
Anyone?
Where did we get the box of tissues? that I
Where are they?
Okay, sorry. Continue.
But
continue,
yeah, at the
continue.
time though, like I said, he was just looking for horns. He didn't even know I sang. And I was like, you know what? I had Above the Sky was a song I had already started before he sent that track. I had started working on a song that I was producing myself. But when he sent the track, I'm like, you know what? This would work with that.
Let's
So
try.
I switched it up. Yeah, switched it up a little bit, and then when I sent it back to him, of course he was shocked. Like, bro, I didn't know you sang. This is he was like, this is good. I'm gonna He was like, I was gonna put it out myself, but I'm gonna talk to my friend Ralph to see if if he wants to collaborate or whatever. And that's how I met Ralph,
Okay.
and eventually got connected to the scene here in South Africa.
Okay, and also.
Yeah, Ralph Gum, if you don't know.
Okay, so now take us to your first gig in South Africa.
Oh yeah, I don't remember what year that was, but I know it was at Bassline.
Ooh.
Started you well.
Yeah, it was at Bassline. Was that my first time coming though? I think it was.
You need a second home here. You need to get him at.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I thought about it several times. It's just something that I definitely have thought about it.
Do better.
Right. I might just take you up on that. Seriously. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, I love it here. The energy here, the people, just the whole music culture. It's beautiful.
Definitely.
There's no comparison to like when I do a show here versus when I do one at home. No, I mean it's not the same.
We were having a conversation about it on our previous episodes that South Africa is still one of the biggest spaces that love house music,
Yeah.
and it appreciates it more than anything. It's a culture. It's like a mini cult. Example A.
Right.
Starting a church in the next coming years. I'm starting a house music church.
Right.
See what I mean? So yeah. So take me through your first gig. What were you expecting here in South Africa?
I really didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. Being that I had never been out here, and I was absolutely shocked at like the connection between me and the crowd
Definitely.
immediately, because like I said, I had never
It's above the
experienced
sky.
I had never experienced that before.
Above this guy.
Yeah. Definitely.
Continue. Sorry.
And
Continue, please,
would
continue.
you say your first gig and your gig, just recent gig, is still the same?
It feels the same,
Feels the
100%.
same.
It does, yeah.
Right?
It feels the same, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing too that that was a notable experience for me, which is the fact that like people were listening to my music and knowing it and vibing to it, and they didn't even know what I looked like. The first time I came, nobody knew what I looked like. Yeah.
I've got a story. Sorry. I got a story, LAVITA. You
Yes.
wouldn't believe it just happened now. So we're at the Rock. It was 2013. Never Leaves You, Ralph Garden went gold. And this is like 2013, so CDs were, to
CDs
get
were still a
Prime.
thing.
to
yeah.
get 15,000 and higher, because I think that's gold in South Africa.
Yes.
It's also Christos's birthday, so they organize a similar gig. So like Christos, Rafgan, they bring this man here to perform. So he's done performing, and like he needs to pee. And now you can imagine, and it's Kafele with the afro, the guy who got the lift from It's Raining Chicago, led
Yes.
Kafele. I'm telling this guy, dude, I can't walk you through this crowd.
It's not gonna work out.
How am I gonna walk you? Like I'm just
it's not
little
gonna
me,
work out.
little me. And he's like, he gave me the signal, like I need to go.
Like you did.
I walked that crowd. That was probably like my bouncer. Like I became a bodyguard that day. It's like the SA crowd is really special.
Yeah, they are. They
They
are
are.
definitely. I mean, but complicated. Like it takes one thing about songs in South Africa. It's like the timeless piece, you
So
know.
timeless.
It's timeless. It takes you through a journey. Yeah, it's beautiful. Definitely.
So in closing, are we closing it up?
Yes, let's wrap it up.
Okay. Last question, since you didn't know who Kafele was.
I enjoyed. I don't have any questions. I actually would like to thank you for coming through our third episode. It's our third episode.
My pleasure, seriously. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Do you?
4-4 on the floor, baby.
Yeah, 4-4 to the floor, baby.
Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, follow, etc.
Can I shout out my IG?
Yes,
Yeah.
please do. Shout out.
It's Kafele Music. That's KAFELE MUSIC. Kafele Music. That's my Instagram and also my Twitter as well.
Please send love also in the comments.
I'm gonna follow you.
Before you follow him back or her back, I don't know how
What I mean, hey.
you don't know how you identify though.
Yes, can be they. You know.
I've just got one. I've got one question, right? Because you can DJ, right?
Not yet, but I will be soon.
Yeah, but you can DJ. If you had to sequence wise, right? I've got this game. I call it Play Next. If you had to play your next top 5 tracks, which tracks and which sequence?
I can't even call it, bro. Seriously.
Please.
I can't call it, man.
We'll give
Do
you a
it,
minute.
do it.
I can't even call it. Seriously,
Dude.
though. I can't call it.
Can you try? Like I know it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying is,
Also, sequencing is important.
yeah,
Like, for
I hear
me,
you. I
yeah.
hear you. Yeah, the thing is, honestly though, I haven't even learned how to DJ yet. I haven't learned how to DJ
Okay.
yet.
Top 5 tracks. If like,
Let me just name 5 songs, I guess.
that means something to you and
Yeah.
means something to the crowd and like whatever. Like I just a top 5 because top 5 changes, right? It's not
It does.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not a. this
Well,
is not
yeah.
sure.
Let me tell you 5 songs that really got me hooked on house music. Period.
So house music.
Yes.
Got you cook house music and that you made.
Okay. I'll tell you one of the first artists that I listened to that had my head spinning was Louis Vega. And
Yeah.
in particular, he did a song. He did a song with Raul Midon. What's the name of that song? I can't even remember the name of it, but it goes like this. Da, 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 ba, 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 ba,
What was the song?
Ba, 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 da, da, da.
Oh man! When I heard
4-4
that-
to the floor has a choir, guys.
What's the name of that song anyway? I forgot the name of it. Circa de Mi. Oh, that's one of my favorite ones that got me hooked. I know this is another Louis one, but he also had a George Benson track on that New Eurekan Soul record that was kind of like broken beatish, I guess. That was super dope.
What else?
Let me see what else I got. Trying to think of some. Dang, this is another Louis Vega one, man.
Fan moment.
But it was a Nights Over Egypt remix.
Ish.
Yeah.
the moi, the masters at work.
Yes.
The moi.
But let me see if I can think of any other ones that were very influential.
Did you ever perform with you, Musikele?
I never did, man.
Oh.
I never did. Yeah. Yeah.
Ish.
But he was definitely like one. Like my dad had some of his records too. So I'm sure he still does. I'm sure he still does.
Wow.
So okay, so you saw the one more artist besides Louis.
Okay, let me see. Besides Louis, why is my mind going blank right now?
It's tough, huh?
Yeah,
it's not easy, like to say that.
No
disrespect, Kafele is not starting beef.
Right.
Yeah, this is clearly it.
Well, I can tell you though. I mean, I was listening to stuff back then. Ethan White.
R.I.P.
Yeah, Tortured Soul has some cuts too, man. Tortured Soul has some cuts.
R.I.P.
For sure. Yeah, Ethan, man, that hurt me, bro. Oh man.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is that, well, not funny, but like I was supposed to be working on some stuff with him, bro, and I was putting it off. You know what I'm saying? And then I got the news. I was like, it was just, man.
Ish.
Yeah.
Then your top 5?
Say again?
Your top 5
my own songs?
X complicated.
Yes.
You said what?
X, no,
not that.
X,
Okay, excluding that. Okay. Well, one of my favorite ones, bro, is Stone Crazy.
Okay.
Stone Crazy is one. Believing is one.
Yeah, you could say it.
Above the Sky.
Definitely.
I can't even think of my own songs.
Wow.
I think I need some sleep or something.
That good. It's been amazing. Kafele Badale. Thank you for joining for Four to the Floor.
My pleasure. Seriously, thank
We
you all for
salute
having me.
you,
Thank
and
you.
you're a legend, and you've uncomplicated many relationships.
Amandla.
Oh, that's how it goes. Like the intro, outro. You owe me something, though.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. What must you say? It's a wrap. It's done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.